Hi, this is Alex Kantrowitz. Let me tell you about Big Technology Podcast, my weekly show that features tough but nuanced interviews about technology and society. On Big Technology Podcast, you'll hear from public company CEOs like Box's Aaron Levy. Aaron, it's time to read some of your tweets.
Okay, this could be very dangerous, by the way. I have no idea where this is going.
Newsmakers like Google walkout leader Meredith Whittaker.
This is an ongoing struggle. This isn't something you win once.
And politicians mixing it up, like Miami Mayor Francis Suarez.
You know, frankly, I do a lot of interviews, and it's good when somebody has a robust debate and says, hey, you know what, let's look at the other side. Let's challenge each other to think about this more profoundly. I actually really appreciate it.
Subscribe to Big Technology Podcast wherever you get your podcasts to hear from tech insiders and outside agitators every Wednesday. That's Big Technology Podcast.
Hey, Rachel.
Hey, Brian.
So how was your week?
You know, Brian, there have been a lot of times when people say to me, Rachel, what I love most about Nope is that you guys don't have those annoying ads, to which I say, well, the situation is not exactly by choice, but I'll take the compliment. And now, more than 3 years after starting this podcast, I'm happy to say that, as you may have just discovered, we have taken on our very first ad for another podcast, Alex Kantrowitz's Big Technology.
And we actually endorse that podcast. Like,
we personally endorse it.
Yeah,
yes, it's very good. So we are just that selective. We've been waiting all this time for this moment to find the right podcast.
I'd like to think that we turned down other advertisers, but he was really the first person who asked.
Right. So all I can say is I hope that the people who liked us because we didn't have ads still continue to like us, because it was another shit week and we have a lot to talk about. In the immortal words of Chris Cuomo, let's get after it.
This is Nope.
The podcast where we shut it down.
We're just a couple of New York Jews talking about the news, beating back the blues. We made a podcast and here's why. Had to laugh so we don't cry. Come and join us for the ride. Welcome to Nope.
Okay, well, in other evolutions, people said they liked the theme song, the new theme song. We got a lot of praise, but we also got some constructive feedback on it. And, a lot of it was right, which was that, this podcast from day one is a joint endeavor. We are co-equal branches of creativity and government. And, it really shouldn't just be me singing, and it was just my voice singing. And so we decided to recut the song with you.
Yeah, after I harassed you for like a week, I was like, what about me? I feel like I should be singing.
And I'm like, I think it's okay.
And I was like, I'll just record a track. I'll lay down a track and I'll send it to you.
And I'm like, okay, I know how to use auto-tune. So I use plenty of auto-tune on myself as well. But it's been even more popular, right? That we've previewed it to a few people. People really like it. I hope you liked it. It's like when you have a hit song and it's so big that you race to have a remix album, and then the remix becomes more popular than the original, like Lil Nas X, right? Old Town Road.
Old Town Road.
Right.
Correct.
That's with the Billy Ray Cyrus. That's a remix. So that's basically us. We're basically Lil Nas X.
And we'll keep iterating. And we'll keep remixing. We're always in beta over here at Nope.
Perpetual beta. The podcast itself is always still in beta.
Yes,
okay, so we hope you like the new theme song as much as you did, if not more than last week. Rachel, anything interesting happen with you this week?
Yeah, so AJ, my 7-year-old son, has become very interested in pranks.
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 Is that like an area of interest? Like, is that like a activity group?
Like, like jokes, like practical, when you were a kid, like you could get like fake poop and like disappearing ink.
I know what a prank is. Okay, I guess you can get into pranks as a thing. That's
whoopee cushions. Yes. It's like a genre of thing.
That's what I was called. It was in a genre. I didn't realize, but now, now that you articulate the examples, I see the genre. Yes.
So we got him this kit that includes all the classics, and my parents are coming to visit on Saturday, and like AJ is just like chomping at the bit to freak them out with all this stuff. It's going to be very funny. So I'm doing yoga the other day, and he puts the whoopee cushion down next to a fake cockroach on my yoga mat. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I indulge his craziness and pretend I don't see this giant pink whoopee cushion on my yoga mat, and I sit on it, and he cracks up. But then like Coco was there and she started going insane. Like something about the whoopee cushion like activated her. It raised her
Imagine
hackle.
that. Imagine
She-
that.
She felt like threatened by it. And so then we were downstairs and then I came upstairs to get my glasses and there were like pieces of whoopee cushion everywhere. Like Coco attacked it. Yeah, because AJ forgot to put his prank kit accessories in the bag where they're supposed to go. So yeah, so Coco had this cute I didn't do it look on her face, and the joke's on us. So that was fun while it lasted.
That sounds fun. I had a very interesting encounter as well. So you all
Yes,
know I
you
was in
did.
Miami last week, and I flew home. I was only there for 3 days, and I splurged on first class because the prices are so low that flying first class was cheaper than a normal economy ticket. So I was in the like fancy priority one like row to get on the plane, and I was first in line. I was very proud of myself. And as they called the priority, I went to go get on the plane, and I got body checked by a Miami-Dade police officer, and I realized that there were a bunch of them who were swarming this guy, this really
Like they
tall,
just physically got in your
I got
way and just like
physically, yeah, I got body checked,
Like-
and like there was a national security emergency or something, and then
oh my
this
God.
tall guy, and I'm like, what are they doing? Protecting a prisoner or something? Because they have to get prisoners from one state to another, like extradite them, and I guess they fly on a plane. So, and I'm like, oh no, and then I see mysteriously this like really tall guy with blonde hair in a suit. And I'm like, oh, so it's a white collar criminal. I wonder who it is.
Well,
it
that's
turns
Florida's biggest expert.
it's white collar criminals, right?
Yes.
It turns out that it was a white collar criminal. It was Eric Trump on my plane.
That is just an abomination that you had to be in an enclosed space with him for that
Yes.
long.
So he was sitting 2 rows in front of me. I have to, this is not a surprise to you. As soon as I took the picture and got off the plane, I sent it to you, and I was.
You were
still
like, it's an
gagging.
emergency. I need to talk this
This is
through.
a nope emergency. I can't even process this. So the whole time he was sleeping and his head was lolling around, and he had his phone out and he was watching a movie. And let's just say, I'm sure it wasn't Emily in Paris. Like he was watching some kind of horrible movie.
I was trying to figure out what it was. There were a lot of cars in the movie,
Oh, Fast and
like from the
Furious
1960s. Yeah,
Oh,
like I don't know what it was,
the
but
prequel.
anyway. Okay.
So I was looking at the back of his head the whole time, and I said, I got to look at the front. And so I walked to the bathroom, came back, and from the front, you could see he was wearing a mask that was like camouflage, but like Desert Storm camouflage, like it was tan and brown and stuff. And he had on it a patch, a black on black patch that said President of the United States of America. But this was not the real seal of the president. This is like something he had ordered on the internet. And because like, I guess he still thinks he's part of the family of the president of the United States to this day.
So like, what is that supposed to signify? Like that the president of the United States would wear a camouflage mask, and to what end? Like, is it supposed
No, I think
to be
like when you, I think there's like when you sign a bill, he gives the pens, and they have the M&Ms with the
Okay,
president on
okay.
it. So I think this was like a commemorative mask
commemorative mask
from the
okay.
Trump presidency of some sort. And then he and just to be sure, I went to the flight attendant. I was like, is that Eric Trump? And she's like, uh-huh. And I'm like, are you sure? Uh-huh. And I'm like, I don't want to be on the plane with him. She's like, me neither.
I'm sure nobody did.
Right, exactly. So when the plane landed, he got up, and I took a picture of this too. I saw him from behind, which was another sight I didn't want to see. And his suit jacket was so rumpled.
It was so
incredible.
rumpled. The
Yeah.
fabric was of such low quality.
Right.
I've never seen such rumpling. It was really terrible.
Right. And like, so, and I also realized that he never went to the bathroom I mean, we were on the plane for over 3 hours. There was a little delay, and like, he never went to the bathroom. And I realized, does he have a catheter or
Probably,
a colostomy bag or something? But if he
Yes.
does have a catheter, it must be a very cheap, like a Russian one or something, because it clearly backed up and like went up
And
his
the
back.
liquid got on his suit, and that's why
That's why it's rumpled.
the creases were permanent.
Permanent.
But I think you're really just burying the bigger story here, which is that he was on a plane from Miami.
He was flying commercial.
Cheap first class commercial. when he's living at or visiting Mar-a-Lago.
The alleged son of a billionaire. Palm Beach Airport is 10 minutes from there. So even if he was going to fly commercial, fly from Palm Beach, he should be flying private to Teterboro, which is right by Bedminster, which is where I assume he was going. But no, he was flying from Miami to LaGuardia. Like he got such a steal. He got such a steal on American Airlines that he spent a $500 Uber to get to Miami. He couldn't do the math. He's pretty stupid.
Scoop. This is a financial scoop.
This is a scandal. Send Letitia James on this. Follow the money. I want to know where this money for this trip came from. And then I thought, so where is he going? Where is he coming from? And I thought maybe he's going to CPAC in Florida, but that was in Orlando, and the next week. So he was going in the wrong direction, which is entirely possible given how stupid he is. He's going the wrong direction on the wrong date to the wrong city, in the wrong hotel. And now it all makes sense. He was just stumbling around Florida.
We'll post the photos on Twitter because I think everyone needs to see this big scoop that you got. Yes. You're always working.
No,
for the American people.
Hire me at ProPublica. I'm doing the long form journalism, which is taking an iPhone picture of Eric Trump's rumpled suit back. Okay. So that leads perfectly into our first nope, which is our follow-up on CPAC. We talked about it last week. The theme of it was America Uncanceled. There was this ridiculous anti-Semitic rapper named Young Pharaoh who... whatever. He got canceled. Right. And normally we wouldn't give oxygen to this QAnon convention, but we couldn't resist because there were some things that were just too delicious. So the real story was not the speeches, was not the straw poll. It was the stage. So the stage was shaped
they couldn't even get that right. They couldn't get this.
No, I think they got it right. I think it was exactly as intended. It was the shape of a swastika, or a modified swastika, which is an Odal or Othala rune. But in all reality, it's a Nazi symbol.
For all intents and purposes, it is a Nazi symbol.
That's right.
It's a symbol that they would wear on their lapels.
No, it was used in SS uniforms, and it's used by white supremacists, and it was on the idiots in Charlottesville. So this came to light, and if you look at it, it's ridiculous. It's clearly that symbol. You would not. It's very ornate. You wouldn't stumble upon that, and they're like, oh, we just made a pretty stage. Oops, it's like a swastika. There's clearly intent of authorship here, right? So when presented with this, the CPAC guy, instead of apologizing or changing the design, of course they doubled down. And the CPAC host, Matt Schlapp, love that name, Matt Schlump, said, quote, "Stage design conspiracies are outrageous and slanderous. We have a long-standing commitment to the Jewish community. Cancel culture extremists must address anti-Semitism within their own ranks. CPAC proudly stands with our Jewish allies, including those speaking from this Nazi stage."
Including all the Jews we've invited to stand atop the Nazi stage.
Stand in solidarity with the Nazi stage. So first of all, I want to know, what is a stage design conspiracy?
Have there been many? Is this one in
Is
a
it
million?
a movement to be a stage design truther? And also, why are the Jews the only people who might be offended by a swastika? A lot of people died in World War II.
Any reasonable person would be offended by that.
Yes.
You don't have to have been one of the targeted groups to
well, also there were a lot of targeted groups, but yes.
Yes.
First among them were the Jews, to be fair. But you don't have to be a Jew. The Holocaust outrage is open to everyone.
It's
It's
universal.
It's a unanimous sentiment. I used to think, except now not so much. So of course, some celebrities spoke out. Deborah Messing was tweeted about it. That was such a big celebrity. And then Hyatt, where the hotel where the conference was, began distancing itself because of the stage, and also because the CPAC people showed, quote, disrespect to employees because they wouldn't wear the mask. So they issued this super lame statement about it. And they said they only allowed the event to continue because CPAC had denied that there was any Nazi connection, and because creating a new stage in the middle of the conference would be, quote, a disruptive situation. Okay, so I would say,
No.
Fixing the stage is less disruptive than having a Nazi stage.
Yes.
Right. And like, how disrupt? Like, just at night, like, just cut off the edges of the swastika or something so it looks
Cut
like
off
something.
the arms of the swastika.
Right.
Leave a square in the middle.
It makes a nice, tidy square. And then, of course, at the end, this is like both sidesism. Hyatt said, "We understand and respect the opinions of those who might disagree with that decision to keep the decision to keep CPAC there." And of course, even with that equivocating statement, CPAC doubled down again and called Hyatt's statement slanderous and accused them of having false and malicious claims. So
Hyatt should have known better. You can't have it both ways with these people.
And they're talking about having future CPACs at other Hyatts now because they're obviously so accommodating. So, there's no winners in the story. It's all losers. They go from weakness to
bad
weakness.
to worse.
Yes. However, there were other outrages, if possible. Outrages that one or more other oddities of this conference. So there is the national anthem that was sung at the Star Spangled Banner, right? That is the
Star
national
Spangled
anthem.
Banner,
Yes. You corrected me when we were talking. I said the national anthem and you said the Star Spangled Banner.
No, which is the national anthem.
They're the same thing. It's as far as what I last learned.
Like
so Rachel,
chickpeas and garbanzo beans.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. Chickpeas and garbanzo beans. So we want to play the clip. We have it because you have to hear it to be believed. But Rachel, you made a very apt comparison. It reminded you of something.
I listened to it and I think my ears are still ringing. We're going to play a very small clip of the actual singing because it's really horrible. It sounded like Daryl Hannah in Splash, where she's in Bloomingdale's in the television section and she tells Tom Hanks her name in dolphin speak and breaks all of the screen. So that's what it sounded
here's
like
here's a little medley. Wow. So I would say this is what happens when you defund music education. Perhaps she studied at the Betsy DeVos School of Music.
Trump University. Well, nobody with any talent wants to even be associated with any of these people.
Right. Well, clearly she was singing in the key of Q. Right. That wasn't
right.
Dorian mode.
Yes.
That was the key of Q. Right.
The key of Q.
Right.
Yes.
But then it turns out that the CPAC was great, but the timing was all wrong because it was a week too early before all these cancel scandals really hit the news and they hit a nerve. And Rachel, you've been following this with the Dr. Seuss thing because you have a Seuss-aged child, right?
I mean, I have plenty of Dr. Seuss books and, for the past few days, Fox News has just been like freaking out about Mr. Potato Head, the Muppets having a warning.
Oh, I didn't know the Muppets had a warning.
The Muppets and Dr. Seuss, they're saying Dr. Seuss has been canceled. And, I'm not even going to go into the other things about the Potato Head and the Muppets because it's just like so stupid. It's nonsense. They're all bullshit. But I'll go into the Dr. Seuss thing because I am fairly well versed in Seussology. So essentially, they're saying Dr. Seuss was banned. There was no ban. Dr. Seuss's estate decided not to continue publishing 6 of his books.
His minor works.
Minor books. I will tell you which ones they are. It's not the places you'll go. These had some cultural insensitivities. And also, I think these particular 6 books do not sell. It's not like they were bringing in millions of dollars to the Seuss estate. So this was a very easy business decision for them to make. The books are called If I Ran the Zoo. Never heard of that one. No. The next one is And to Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street. No.
Oh, Mulberry Street.
McElligott's pool. No,
Oh,
never heard of
McElligott
that.
is one of the great characters in children's literature.
Yes.
McElligott.
Then the next one is on beyond zebra! Exclamation point. Or
Wait,
on beyond zebra. Like I don't even know
what is that? Is that grammatical? Like,
I don't know what that
can
means.
you parse
but
that title for me? Like, there's a preposition, and I don't even know what it means.
It's
Okay.
beyond the zebra. And then the following one is scrambled eggs super, and the last one is the cat's quizzer. So
Is that
as
like
I said,
Is that like a workbook that you get after you've read The Cat in the Hat? It's like
Hat,
the cat
maybe.
trivia, the cat's quiz book, the cat joke
Quizzer.
book, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, but I've never heard of any of these. They will not be missed. But, if you heard about it on Fox News, you would think that like there was a pile of books being burned of like all of the Seuss classics for all eternity. And, they're
Like
they're
the night of broken glass. It's like
Yes. And they're trying to say that like the liberals, like any perceived bias in any historical work, it has to be canceled. And the reality is that for the most recent year for which we have data, which is 2019, of the 10 books that were most banned, 8 of them were because of LGBTQ themes.
Of course,
and they were banned by the right. So of course, it's just another example of gaslighting. But I have to add one more, one more victim of cancel culture. Today they came for the Neanderthals. So for a little bit of background, Joe Biden was asked by a reporter what he thought about the governors of Texas and Mississippi deciding to just go on ahead and open up their states 100%, no mask mandate, nothing. And Biden said it was an example of Neanderthal thinking, which I think is a very generous way to describe
the Neanderthals were smart. Like, we're learning more and more. They were like very close to humans in many ways.
Yes. And if you ask me, like I would have said it's murder and treason, but Biden was trying to put a nice spin on it. They're just Neanderthals. They're not as evolved, right?
Right. It's not like they're Australopithecus or...
Right. Homo erectus.
I think we're Homo erectus, but yes. I don't know. I read Sapiens, but I don't remember any of it.
Okay. So anyway, this cannot stand. It was another example of unacceptable cancel culture in action, and everyone on the right is now like just freaking out, having strokes about this. So
wait,
Marco
that
Rubio,
Biden quote unquote canceled Neanderthals?
Yes. So Marco Rubio just tweeted, President Biden's use of an old stereotype is hurtful to modern Europeans, Asians, and Americans who inherit about 2% of their genes from Neanderthal ancestors.
Oh, I didn't see this.
He should apologize for his insensitive comments and seek training on unconscious bias.
Maybe he was joking. It's kind of funny. It's so ridiculous. It might be funny. And by the way, you buried the lead is that he called him President Biden.
Yes, he did. That's a
He knows which
stage
side
in evolution.
He's evolving as well.
He's evolving in real time. But so then, like, I know you're going to be so annoyed. I have all these clips that I want you to cut in, but we have to play this clip of Tennessee Senator. Yes.
I'm going to be up till 2 a.m. editing this
Yes.
podcast. Okay, yeah, sure.
Yes. It's Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn giving an impassioned defense of Neanderthal culture on Fox Business.
Well, Stuart, we were called Neanderthals when I led the fight against imposition of a state income tax in Tennessee. So you know what I did? I started the Neanderthal caucus because Neanderthals are hunter-gatherers. They're protectors of their family. They are resilient. They're resourceful. They tend to their own. So I think Joe Biden needs to rethink what he is saying about the states that are choosing to move away from these mask mandates.
Okay, so great. She started the Neanderthal caucus. And so if you don't mind, I would like to recite a poem that has been adapted from the famous Lutheran pastor. I wrote a poem.
You wrote a poem.
I mean, I didn't write it. It's very similar to a poem that already exists, but it's inspired by.
Well, look, we're on a creative tear. First, we wrote the podcast theme, and now you're writing poetry. This is very brave of you. Okay, I want to hear it. I'm ready. I'm wrapped.
Okay, are you ready? Okay, so first they came for the potato heads.
Wait, you didn't write this.
I told you I didn't. It's adapted. Okay. And I did not speak out because I was not a potato head. Then they came for On Beyond Zebra, and I did not speak out because I was not beyond a zebra. Then they came for the Neanderthals, and there was no one left to speak for me, for I am a Neanderthal. It's beautiful.
Who will speak for the Neanderthals? There's nobody left.
There's nobody left except for Marco Rubio. So,
and Marsha Blackburn.
So I say to the Republicans, go ahead, keep going on about Dr. Seuss and Mr. Potato Head and the Muppets and going on TV to defend Neanderthals, who, by the way, are extinct, just like you're about to be, because Joe Biden has a $2 trillion COVID relief bill with 75% approval that just passed the House and is headed for the Senate. So go fuck yourselves. And absolutely not. Nope. Shut it down.
That's amazing, Rachel. You're going to get the Oscar for an EGOT for Best Adapted, I would say screenplay, Best Adapted Lutheran poem.
Best Plagiarized Lutheran poem.
That's a category. That's a real category.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than the Queen's Gambit.
Which sucked, right? Okay.
Yes,
you have another one, Rachel. What's up?
So spring is in the air almost. And after a year of canceling big celebrations, we're back. We're approaching wedding season in New York. And this is something that our governor, Andrew Cuomo, has been thinking about a lot. And this is even before it was revealed that he made unwanted advances toward a stranger at a wedding. We'll have more on that later. But Cuomo in January was really excited to announce that starting on March 15th, which is the Ides of March, which happens to also be my own parents' wedding anniversary.
Oh,
Isn't
I didn't
interesting?
realize.
Yeah. So weddings of up to 150 people on that date will be allowed statewide. That's a pretty big wedding, 150 people.
Yeah,
provided
I don't know 100. If I had a wedding, I wouldn't know 150 people to invite. So that's a huge wedding. Yeah.
I mean, it's like a normal size wedding, my wedding was around that size. And so, but the gatherings will have to follow certain restrictions. But those restrictions were mysterious. And what would they be? Nobody knew until this week when the Department of Health clarified the restrictions. And here they are. Okay. So first of all, everyone has to dance wearing a mask, which is no surprise there. This is actually a good innovation, in my opinion, because you don't have to see the white man's overbite
grimacing, right? Yes.
on the dance floor, which is great. But here's where it gets crazy. So the guests at these weddings may only dance with members of their own family who have to be seated at their own table. So each family is to be assigned a clearly marked dance zone that is 6 feet from other dance zones and tables. And each dance zone should be no smaller than 36 square feet. That's pretty big, right?
Wait, here, I have a lot of questions. So what if you're just a single person who brings a date to a wedding? Are you confined? Are you like chained to your table? You can't dance with that person? You have
to have your own dance zone. You have to have your own dance zone.
That seems like an inefficient use of space because there's, you had a wedding, like you compress people into their little tables. And
you want them to be together.
But then if each person has like 16 square feet or whatever it is, suddenly you have
like a football field.
Yes.
Right. So I wanted to know, like, how big does this wedding venue have to be to accommodate these insane rules? So let's say there's like 150 people and each person is in like a group of 4, just for argument's sake.
Did you do the math? Is this your own math?
I did the math. That means you have 37 and a half dance zones. So the dance floor has to be 1,350 square feet.
Acres.
And that's not even including the paths that people must take to arrive at their dance.
The DJ, like the limbo. What can we do the limbo if they're like in like little
That's no limbo. No, the limbo's prohibited.
Conga line?
Absolutely.
You can't do a conga line, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely not. No, that's like a vector.
Virtual
conga line.
You could each be in your own square, like doing the little conga dance.
Yes.
Or no, it's perfect for square dancing. You could do a square dance with your own little family, like do-si-do.
It's like a do-si-do only square dance.
Well, it's perfect. They'll all be like Western hoedown themed weddings. That's fun.
Yeah, I mean that
I would
does
go to
sound
that.
fun. Yeah, and so people in one zone can't visit another zone, and this is more. There's more. If during ceremonial dances, like a bride and groom's first dance, other couples enter the dance floor, they will have to maintain 6 feet of distance from each other.
From the other couples dancing or within the couple?
So to protect the bride and groom, if the bride and groom are circulating on the dance floor, if you want to go out and join them, you cannot be near another person. You have to be 6 feet away from them. So you have to do like a long distance tango or like
wait, no, you're still not clear. So is it intra-couple distancing or between different couples?
No, intra-couple distancing.
So it's like artistic, like modern interpretive dance. Like you have to
like be like a folk dance, like on opposite sides of the stage. Yeah. So anyways, those are the rules. I feel bad for anyone who has a wedding.
I can't wait to go to my first COVID wedding. It sounds fabulous.
But to get back to the topic of Governor Cuomo and weddings, as we know, as many people know, possibly not the people who don't live in New York, but listen to this podcast, Andrew Cuomo is in deep shit. He says he's not going to resign. I personally think it's over. What do you think?
I think if there's one more woman although I just watched the live interview with the woman that the Times wrote about, and it is heartbreaking. Like, talk about a believable person.
Yeah.
Like, she is very, very believable. And she's clearly traumatized by it. And it's not one of those like, oh, he touched my back and I felt it was violent. Like, no, like this was serious harassment. Yes, serious harassment. I think if one more comes forward, I think he can get away with an investigation now and maybe write it out like Ralph Northam with the blackface in Virginia. But I think if one more woman comes out, it's over.
And we know if there's 3, one of whom didn't even work for him and didn't even know him, there's going to be 4 or 5 or 6. So it's just a matter of time, you know? So anyway, that's if you go through life and behave this way, you're always behaving this way.
Right, but it's a real comeuppance for people. I mean, when he was at the height of his like COVID heroism, there were all these like Cuomosexuals, right? Like,
now all these people are going to have to like recant their sexual identity.
He had the like pointy nipples where people were speculating if he had nipple rings, and was it him?
He made his coronavirus briefings were very cold, and so he had these very pointy nipples.
No, but now, did you see this when they're talking about the bullying environment that he had in the thing? They said he was very specific. He would have huge tantrums and scream at people if the temperature wasn't like 68 degrees. And maybe it's because that was the tipping point, that the absolute zero that he required to have pointy nipples.
He always needed to
have
be
his
erect.
signature look. That was his signature look.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I never called myself a Cuomosexual. I did like his briefings for a time, but I voted for Cynthia Nixon in the primary. You know, Miranda forever. She would never have gotten herself into this mess.
Her
Say
nipples
what you
would
will.
have been
Perfect.
au naturel. Whatever they were, they were.
So who will take his place is the question when he eventually resigns, because I think he's going to. I really do.
Okay.
We've got Kathy Hochul, who's the lieutenant governor. She's very impressive. But as we've discussed, there's also Barbara Kavovit, who is
of Real Housewives, formerly friend of Real Housewives of New York. Wasn't even a housewife.
for mayor, but maybe now she will
upgrade,
open up her ambitions to the governor's.
And look,
mansion.
if Donald Trump can be the president, Barbara Kay
Barbara
can be the
Kavovit.
governor. Could be the governor.
Or maybe Elliot Spitzer will come back. Anthony Weiner. New York has so many wonderful choices.
Carlos Danger.
Carlos Danger.
It's an embarrassment of riches. We have the tyranny of choice. Okay, is that all? Everything you have about Cuomo weddings?
That's everything I have to say about weddings and Andrew Cuomo. But
No.
you heard it here first. Absolutely not. Nope.
Okay, I got one. So everybody knows about all the mishaps that people are having on Zoom. You would think we're a year into the Zoom era almost now, and we're still hearing about the cat lawyer, and then there was Jeffrey Toobin masturbating on Zoom, and all these idiots. You'd think we'd...
the woman who was like going to the bathroom.
Yes,
on the
right.
Zoom call.
A Supreme Court justice who was going to the bathroom on call. You would think we
Breyer,
would have
yes.
learned our do's and don'ts by now, but here is a truly breathtaking original one. So this is the story of a surgeon named Dr. Scott Green, who was supposed to appear in traffic court via Zoom. We don't know exactly what his alleged offense was. So this exists, this video. The picture comes on of like the judge. It's actually like the I don't know, commissioner and the clerk. And the picture of the doctor comes on, and he's wearing a surgical mask and a cap, and there's operating room lights behind him. And the clerk says, "Hello, Mr. Green, are you available for trial? It kind of looks like you're in an operating room now."
He's like,
and the doctor completely nonchalantly says, "I am, sir. Yes, I'm in an operating room right now, but I'm available for trial. Go right ahead." Then he was informed that this would be live streamed on YouTube, and then somehow the camera swiveled to the actual person being operated on the operating table.
Isn't it a HIPAA violation?
There's many violations. It's a terms of service violation. It's a HIPAA. It's a DACA. It's every violation in the book, right? So the commissioner, who's like the judge here, says, "Unless I'm mistaken, I'm seeing a defendant that's in the middle of an operating room appearing to be actively engaged in providing services to a patient. Is that correct, Mr. Green? Or should I say Dr. Green?" Dr. Green said yes. He confirmed that it was. And the judge commissioner said, "I do not feel comfortable for the welfare of a patient if you're in the process of operating that I would put on a trial, notwithstanding the fact that the officer is here today." And the doctor then explained that, "Don't worry, there's another surgeon in the room who could perform the surgery like while he was testifying."
Like in the background.
Yeah, like a backup surgeon, like a
med student, like
right, resident or something. And the judge says, "I don't think so. I don't think that's appropriate." And he said he would reschedule the thing for a time that the doctor was not operating on a patient. He said, "We want to keep people healthy. We want to keep them alive." And to which the Medical Board of California is investigating. To which I say, there's really not much to investigate here. Like there is documentary proof of exactly what happened. Like, take away this guy's license. I'm eager to hear the outcome of this investigation. So watch this space.
I just think this is a consequence of a culture that is all about multitasking and like optimization.
He saw nothing wrong with
he thought it was good. He's
a plastic surgeon. So yes, it's less serious, I guess, than open heart surgery. But still, the guy's probably under some kind of anesthesia. You're still like cutting into his face or whatever.
Yes, it's very serious. Yes.
Can you imagine the guy getting a facelift, right? Having to see yourself on this guy's traffic court hearing? So nope, Dr. Green, just no, like
no, Dr. Green.
Silo these.
Maybe he was operating while driving, and that's why he's in traffic court.
He's the ultimate multitasker.
He just does everything while operating.
You imagine he got pulled over. There's like
he was like doing a nose job,
reclining in the seat, in the passenger seat, and he's like leaning over at the red light to like chip away at the nose a little with the chisel or something.
We're just a couple of New York Jews.
Okay, no, Dr.
Talking
Green.
about the
No,
news.
Dr.
Beating back the blues.
Wow, that's enough dope. I can't
We
say
made a
that word. Now
podcast
we-
and here's
yeah.
why. Laugh so we don't cry. Come and join us for the ride. Welcome to Nope.
Not the Pet Shop Boys song.
It's a show. It's a new show on HBO. It looks at a group of young gay men in London in 1981, just as the AIDS crisis was hitting. And I was just watching the pilot and I was so riveted in a way I have not been for any show other than like I May Destroy You. It's got an amazing ensemble cast of actors who I'm not really that familiar with. One of them is a guy named Ali Alexander, who's in a synth pop trio called Years and Years. Do you know them?
No, it sounds like I would, but I don't.
Yeah. And he's just incredible. He's like, I mean, he's like 30 years old, and he's probably very famous already, but I'm just like, a star is born. You know? Like,
He's big in England, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Everyone's
he's
big in
great.
England,
And Neil Patrick Harris is the only actor I recognized in it. He plays this elder statesman mentor figure who works in like a German street bespoke tailoring shop. And it's just wonderful. The music is fabulous. The production design is amazing.
Is it sad or is it like a drama?
It's sad. Yes.
I can't watch that. I can't watch any AIDS shows. It's too sad.
It is sad. It's going to break your heart if you watch it. It already, like, the first episode was so crushing at the end, but like I still have to watch it. It's the character development is so good.
Like,
And
I can't
it's
even watch
amazing.
This Is Us or anything. Like I can't deal with. That's not why I watch TV. Okay, but I think for a certain type person, I take your endorsement. I have a very different yup this week.
Okay, you share.
I have a lot of sympathy for the MTA. It's not their fault, right? They're not funded, and then they weren't funded before COVID, and now they're not funded. And yet somehow I started taking the subway again, and I'm an idiot, so I have my like refillable card, but I'm always losing it or putting it in the back of my wallet where I can't find it. And now they have this new Omni system, which is OMNY, and you can pay not just from your phone, but from your watch. You can just show up at the turnstile and double click your watch and pay on your watch. And I know I sound like an old geezer, like amazed by like a price scanner at the CVS, but like I can't believe. Cool. I mean, look, I remember tokens, and MetroCard was a big innovation, and the fact that I could just like click my watch and walk into the subway, that's like good really for them. Yeah, you know, they're removing friction in the sales funnel there. They're making
innovation. Yes,
right.
It's always
I do not
nice
think
to see public transportation.
I do not think of MTA as a cauldron of innovation, and yet they pulled it off. And yet
they did.
Yeah. So yep to you, MTA, for your Omni system. Okay. Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this podcast, please rate, review, subscribe, tell a friend in real life, because that is really the best way. This week, there were a few different people who didn't know I had a podcast who I told, and I actually helped them get out their phone, found the podcast, and hit subscribe for them. I don't know if they'll ever listen, but at least we got some subscribers.
But you can do that with your friends too. So
please do. In fact, please do. So the ratings have been great. Thank you for your support. We rely on it. Tweet about us.
I'm a little thirsty for more reviews, though. Honestly, like it would be great to have more reviews.
Yeah,
so,
we have hundreds. We need thousands, really.
Yes.
Yeah,
so please, if you like this podcast, just go and give us a 5-star review. Come on.
Right. Thank you. And if not 5-star, don't bother. Okay. So anyway, thank you for listening. This has been a terrible week, but this has been a fun podcast to record. This has been Nope,
the podcast where we shut it down.